Lady, the problem isn't in my pants. Mex-Men.
Like what gyms?
I saw a gym on the news the other day that was like, hey, we're open, and they have like shower curtains around where you work out.
Really? Because it was I think the 25th. Crunch and Planet Fitness are opening the 25th.
Yeah.
They have shower curtains? Like, around each workstation?
Yeah, because the guy was like, yeah, we were going to build like these plexiglass things, but they were like $40,000, so we just hung up shower curtains and some PVC pipe.
I'm just imagining like there's like a weight bench, and they have shower curtains around that weight bench, but then there's shower curtains around the next weight bench.
Well,
like all the treadmills have their own set of shower curtains around them.
It's more of like a class area where it's just like a workout, like those little benches that they have to work out, and then there's some weights around them and a mat.
It doesn't make sense because if they can just open on the 25th, they spent all that money for shower curtains just to take them down on the 25th.
Well, I don't know if he just did it. Like he probably did it like a month ago, or at least before they announced it.
Maybe he was sitting on boxes of shower curtains, and it just occurred to him like, oh shit, I can finally use these.
It's one of those things. Somebody's like, hey, I got 200 shower curtains here, and I'll sell them all to you for $50. He's like, that's a hell of a deal.
I like the more literal way of how you phrase that. Like he was literally sitting on shower curtains and was like, man, how can I get people to come to my gym and use up all these shower curtains? Anyway, welcome to this issue of Mex-Men. I'm Tony.
I'm Justin.
I'm Devin.
And today we're going to be covering Axis issues 1 through 3. And if we have enough time, we're going to be covering the first issue of Carnage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the order.
Yep. Is this the first time you guys have done a podcast? Or
Nope. So,
do you have any shout-outs that you want to do today?
Shout out Rick Remender for writing this book. We're not going to negatively shout out anything.
I was going to say, I have a shout out I could do, but
You were messaging us, fuck a certain app that lets you read comics off of it.
yeah.
So I
had
just
a
read the
terrible
physical
time.
issues.
I had a terrible time with them.
I don't even know who did Kubert draw this?
Yeah.
It's on the front page.
Yeah, but it also says Martin. What did Martin do?
He's a colorist.
Yeah.
Which sounds racist, now that I'm thinking about it.
Nope. Colorist.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what's crazy is it's kind of topical
Oh, there we go.
in terms of, like, this book. Because it's exactly what happens in this book, kind of. You know, just riots and hate stuff.
Han. You're telling me that there's going to be riots and hate stuff with something involving the X-Men that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is over
Yeah.
the top because there's
That never
Nazis
happens.
in this one.
But there are Nazis in this one.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
double.
It's double.
Yeah.
It's almost like exactly what's going on.
like
There's a
hate
Nazi in all
sandwich.
the other ones. What do you... Captain America.
Yeah,
Okay. So this story actually picks up pretty quick because there's a lot of groundwork that gets done in different series that if you didn't read, you're sort of like, whoa, what? What's a red onslaught? So I'm just going to read the previously in Marvel Comics
yeah.
section for the first time on this thing.
And he's only going to use that tone.
Yeah, maybe. So, starting off, Cyclops killed Xavier because Phoenix, you know? And then...
Go listen to our episodes on Avengers vs. X-Men to hear that.
Exactly.
I might be saying a lot during this part that you're doing right here.
Well, now it's stuff that we didn't read, so it'd be weird if you had a lot to say.
Go listen to us talk about this stuff right now. Go pause this podcast, go to this episode, and then listen to this part. And then come back and then listen to the podcast.
What? That doesn't even make sense. Pause this podcast, go back to our AVX episodes, listen to those, come back to this point, because I'm not going to cover what happened in the AVX part of this previously in the Marvel Universe. But then, in the wake of AVX...
Read this because It's hilarious, actually, how ridiculous it sounds. That second paragraph.
Yeah. In the wake of Xavier's death, Captain America...
They literally have wakes for death. I see what you did there.
I didn't do anything. Captain America recruited veteran X-Man Havoc, Cyclops' brother, to form a team of Avengers to demonstrate to the world that humans and mutants can work together.
Ridiculous. It's like, yeah, they could have worked together if you weren't such an asshole from the start.
Yeah, from the start.
Because he's trying to make, I don't know, it just sounds like, look, it can be done. It's like, dude, it could always have been done if you weren't a dick.
If you weren't Dick. Anyway, the Avengers Unity Squad's mission, because that's what their name became, was immediately put to the test when the villainous Red Skull, in possession of Xavier's brain and the immense psychic powers that come with it, sought to incite war between man and mutant, aiming to rid the Earth of mutant kind once and for all. So he's just trying to finish what Captain America started. That's how he showed, like, that's his rivalry with Captain America, is like, oh, what you couldn't do, I'll do.
Yeah, I'm going to do it better.
Well, he's like, I can unite everybody under my boot.
Though the Avengers defeated the Red Skull, he managed to escape. In the months that followed, the Skull continued to carry out his plan, revisiting familiar Nazi tactics and collecting mutants. That just seems weird to me. Revisiting familiar Nazi tactics. Like, I'm just imagining, like, he goes back to his, like, Nazi hometown, you know? And he's catching up with, like, old Nazis that, like, have sort of moved on from the glory days of Nazism.
I feel like he pulled out his
So
notes.
graveyard.
But, like...
He pulled out his notes from decades ago. He's like, let me check out these notes here. Damn it, my handwriting. So he's only got half the plan.
Like, he just had an old desk and he's going through, like, his old notes.
Yeah, all this stuff. All his scribbles.
Yeah, anyway, so he's collecting mutants, imprisoning them in a re-education camp he created on the abandoned island of Genosha. Because that is known so well for great things and mutant kind.
Only good things have happened on Genosha.
Yeah. The re-education camp, though, that part of it, I thought was weird. Because isn't he trying to kill mutants?
I thought he was trying to brainwash him to turn him for his own good.
Yeah, I know, but, like, the statement just before this was that he's trying to rid the world of mutant kind.
Well, he's a Nazi. It's basically anybody who's
And
not
now he's re-educating
a
them.
regular white guy.
Maybe he's sterilizing them, too.
Well, taken captive at the Red Skull's camp, Avengers Havoc, Rogue, and Scarlet Witch quickly freed themselves, as well as mutant terrorist Magneto,
Bullshit.
who's had a badass book going on during this time up to this point.
Yeah. Which, listen to our episodes that aren't out yet in the future.
Yeah.
Shout out to 3 months from now when we cover those.
Anyway, so Magneto, who had been captured while investigating the camp over the course of his one-man war on those who would do harm to mutant kind. So, yeah, a long way of saying his badass book. Because that shit was dope. He was basically James Bond Magneto.
Yeah, he was Fassbender.
Yeah.
That's that BS, though. He's a terrorist. Clearly said he's trying to stop people who are hurting mutants.
Yeah, well.
It makes him a terrorist.
Yeah, but, like, you've watched Fox News.
Yeah.
So.
That's the writing discrepancy, though.
Oh,
between Avengers and X-Men writers. I mean, obviously Magneto's not a good guy, but they're just straight up calling him a terrorist.
Right. They give more leniency to Punisher.
No. Punisher does not get any leniency.
Sure he does.
Except from, like, cops who are,
in the
like,
crossover
super
books from the Avenger-type heroes?
They knew he was a killer, but they weren't mad at him about it.
Yeah.
They
They treated him like they treated Wolverine. They knew he was a killer, and they were like, but you're our killer.
Oh, yeah, I guess he kills. That's okay.
Well, like, I think it's because they're usually not around him, but, like, street-level people are always like, no, get Frank the fuck out of here, because they know what he does.
Right.
It is probably, though, because Punisher's killing bad guys, and Magneto's kind of hates everybody who's not a mutant, so.
Yeah, but he's killing bad guys.
Yeah, he is.
Bad guys to mutants.
No, the correct term was freedom fighter, not terrorist. But hey.
Was he fighting all the freedom?
Anyway, hellbent on completing his mission, Magneto viciously. Okay, for a second, like the font was really weird, and the O looked like a D for a second, and I was like, "What? Viciously? What?"
Freedom fighter would be an awesome Captain America villain, by the way.
It's like the obvious Captain America villain.
Yeah. It's
It turns out it's just himself out of the mask. Anyway, Magneto viciously murdered the Red Skull against the Avengers' wishes. That's such a nice way of putting that. But the act,
Please don't.
but the act backfired, and in an explosion of psychic energy, the Red Skull was reborn in a terrifying new form, the Red Onslaught. Who's technically a zombie, right? He's two dead guys fused together.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened.
Like
I don't
super
know if
zombie.
Either of you read the Onslaught stuff from the 90s? I did not.
Nope.
I vaguely know what it was. I think for whatever reason, Xavier took on like all the evil of like Magneto's mind, basically all the hate, and then while he slept, the hate of Magneto's psyche like fucked Xavier's telepathic powers, and they created Onslaught.
Are you sure that was the Onslaught book, or is that a callback to our Halloween episode?
No, that's like what happened.
I know they forged, but it's like I don't know how and why.
Magneto's anger's dick entered the vagina that is Xavier's telepathy,
Anybody who
and they
didn't
birth Onslaught.
get the reference before listening in our Halloween episode, we read a creepypasta of X-Men, and they just all started fucking.
Well, they were about to, and you guys stopped me from reading.
Because
Like,
the story
come
was
on.
6 hours long.
All right. So anyway, that catches us up, and the Avengers, like Prime, I guess, right, the main force of the Avengers, is responding to an issue in LA where there's trees everywhere, and for some reason, Tony Stark thinks, "Oh, we must be getting ready to fight a person who hates plants."
I think he was being sarcastic, and Vision like took him way too seriously.
I don't think that's what happened, because then Tony Stark apologized, like, "Oh man, I was way off base."
Yeah, but he also could have been like, "Oh, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry because you don't understand." It's like talking to Drax.
I guess. I just feel like it was a dumb joke, and he was going pretty deep into it. He just kept naming like people who would be anti-plant, and then he saw the plant guy, literally Plant Man, and he was like, "Oh shit, never mind."
Yeah, the guy who does plant things never would have saw it coming.
Yeah. So they fight Plant Man, and suddenly, I know, right? So dumb. Sometimes comics sound dumb.
It just sounds like how they do like Giant Man, where they just add a couple letters onto Ant-Man. So it's like he ate some kale and
Yeah.
got fused with it, and now he's Plant Man.
Did you ever see when they released, like, it was a super special suit, Ant-Man suit, and it was G.I. Ant-Man?
Yeah, that was the Giant Man.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Giant Man makes more sense though.
I know, but I mean, they
gets
literally,
giant.
they put the thing, the
Yeah,
periods.
but he gets Ant in his other one.
But he also gets giant.
He does both.
Plant. Yeah, that's why it makes sense for either name. Plant Man, I don't connect to Ant Man.
Yeah, but if you ask,
Oh, I thought you were going to say you don't connect to what he does. He's all plants. What do you mean?
No, I mean I don't connect those two. Like
I was
Ant-Man
like,
and
how do
Ant-Man.
you not connect Ant-Man because he's small and he talks to ants?
To who?
What?
Huh?
Ant-Man. He's small and he
Are
talks
we
to ants.
sharing an
How is-
aneurysm?
How
I
is-
know who Ant Man is.
We're all having to. I know, but you seem to think that his name doesn't fit him.
No.
All right.
I said I don't connect Ant Man to Plant Man.
Oh,
It's
why
two
would
letters.
They rhyme. That's about it.
It's 2 extra letters on Plant Man.
Yeah.
It's as close as Giant Man.
Yeah, but Giant Man makes sense. All right, we'll continue.
Ants eat plants.
it? Anyway,
Solved.
There's your connection.
the Avengers start fighting each other because they're getting, like, real angry. Well, at first, it just seems like Thor's a little bitch. and then you realize, oh no, it's been like this hate telepathy that's been going out. And Tony takes out Plant Man because he thinks, oh, he's using some sort of weird like toxin pheromone thing that's making people go crazy and be mad. And then he's like, okay, well, if it's not that guy, then it must be telepathy because that's the only other reason why I wouldn't be affected.
Those are the only two things that don't work on me, is smells and brainy things.
Well, I mean, when he's in a suit of armor that, like, doesn't allow him to smell, and he specifically put up brainy thing, dampeners.
I didn't know that they were getting their minds messed with when Thor started. It wasn't until after when Vision started, because that made sense to me. Thor got dissed.
Yeah, exactly.
By Sam, I'm like, yeah, fuck that guy. How dare he disrespect you like that? You get him, Thor.
Well, he dissed Sam first, to be honest.
Well, Thor's always talking like that to people, though. Sam was kind of more like, I'm in charge here.
There's that, too.
You don't really talk to Thor that way.
He called him a bird.
He's got wings.
He does. I'm not saying he was off. I'm just saying he called him a bird. You were going to say something.
I was just because the picture I sent you guys is like my favorite line in there, where Plant Man, when everybody's fighting, and he's like, "Are you people insane? Why you primates fight each other? I've called forth a tsunami of sweet green." And that just sounds like what every stoner I've ever known when they brought weed to a party.
Just unroll the fat bag right there. Yeah. The tsunami of sweet green.
Like, couldn't you imagine like some potheads, saying that?
Yeah. It has to unroll, though.
Yeah.
So, while this is going on, because Iron Man realizes, okay, it's a telepathy thing. He's about to get killed by the Hulk, because the Hulk's just like, you made me this, and he's like, I thought we discussed this the last crossover.
Yeah, original sin was the last time.
Yeah, he hadn't gotten over it, apparently.
He's still mad.
Mm-hmm. I did like the line that when he asks, because after he reverses the polarity, basically, of like the psychic attack, and gets the hate to leave everyone around him, I do like that he said something to the Hulk along the lines of like, are you a bit less irritable? And he's like, I know with you it's kind of a scale. Because he's still the Hulk.
I would read the irritable Hulk, though.
Yeah.
Irritable. It's just him kind of upset.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, I just slept wrong. I'm just not in a good mood.
I just picture him trying to crack an egg and it just keeps busting immediately.
It just breaks in his hand when he takes out the container. It's basically his scene from Endgame where he's like, Hulk hates stairs.
Yeah.
So, he solves that, and Captain America calls him, and Steve Rogers calls him because he's not officially Captain America. He's now Napton America again.
Yes. Which, Deadpool joke.
Yep. And he's like, hey, Tony, we got a problem. And Tony's like, yep, already figured it out. Hate psychics. So, I'm setting up a thing. I also hate psychics.
Yeah.
But
I really hate psychics.
Mainly mutant psychics. We should have a policy. No more mutants on the Avengers. You cool with that, Cap? I mean, Steve? Anyway. He says, he's like, I'm already on it. I'm putting up a dampener to clear the area now. And Steve's like, no, it's not just that area. It's the whole world. This is really bad. And he's like, oh, well, shit. Gotta figure that out then. Meanwhile, Havoc is having a bad dream.
Yep.
Because he's like, I'm definitely not laying in a puddle of mud right now.
Don't.
Then he looks at the girl next to him and he's like, man, she fucking hates me.
That actually worked out nice.
Because everything's so blurry for him.
So he thinks he's home in bed with Janet and their daughter. And then, like, not at all. It's the Red Skull. And he sees, like, zombie. He sees zombie Xavier is like, don't let him do this to my powers and my legacy. Also, wipe my hard drive.
That picture of him, though, he's like, give me a kiss. Like Red Skull literally being in bed next to him.
Yeah. Which ties into the stuff that happened during Uncanny Avengers.
I think, man,
He fucked Red Skull and then
no, so that really is a nightmare. He's in bed with Red Skull, and then Xavier shows up.
Yeah.
That's fucking horrible.
Well, no, because in Uncanny Avengers, they end up in the future for some reason, and they see that Havoc sees that he and Janet were supposed to have a daughter and stuff, and Kang the Conqueror took their kid for some reason. That's about all the information we get in this book. For more, you'd have to
read
Uncanny Avengers.
It says he traded his kid to save other people or something.
Other people's kids.
for shiny Charizard.
I mean, the first edition card, maybe? Pretty valuable. I think it's $1,000.
Yeah, that kid just cost you money.
That's also crazy. Someone trades their future kid for $1,000 trading card.
It's only
That's
appreciating in value.
That's even crazy. It's even crazier though that somebody has a holographic Charizard card and they're like, I could get a kid for this. But then again, Xavier.
Yeah, but then Havoc's in the future. That's my future kid. It's not my kid right now.
I'll make another.
Yeah.
Name him Charizard.
So stupid. Anyway, so
Putting glitter on the kid.
so that ends up being a pretty terrible nightmare that Havoc has, and he wakes up in a puddle of mud. Oh wait, never mind. I am
in a puddle of mud.
I am in puddle of mud.
But my ass hurts.
If anybody doesn't understand that, go watch Crack's Puddle of Mud video, where it's just 4 guys slowly realizing they're in puddle of mud, and it's the worst thing that could ever happen to them.
Yeah, anyway. So Havoc's having this terrible realization, and his mind is slowly being taken over by the hate that Red Onslaught's pushing out. And at the same time, there are some heroes actually fighting Red Onslaught and not doing that great a job. Wanda and Rogue are fighting him, and Magneto, and Onslaught doesn't even seem to sort of care. He shoots Magneto through a building, and Magneto happens to be like, oh shit, Cyclops, how'd you get here? And also
Jetpack.
Quentin. And, no, he doesn't have any more of those. But it's shown that Quentin Quire, Cyclops, and Genesis are all prisoners in this concentration camp, which I don't remember the Uncanny books tying in at all.
I legitimately, I don't know if you'll get this reference at all, but when you said Genesis, I was like, Phil Collins is hanging out with him.
Nope. I don't get it at all.
Yep. Phil Collins was in a band called Genesis.
Oh, okay.
We found the Phil Collins fan.
No, nobody's a Phil Collins fan. Just I've heard of things before.
I mean, Phil Collins enthusiast.
No.
So
It's literally the one thing I know about Phil Collins.
anyway, Onslaught also starts. It's funny because Rogue and Scarlet Witch, they're getting the hate fed at them, and Scarlet Witch is like, Rogue, don't fall into it. Because Rogue's getting angry, and she's saying mean things to Scarlet Witch.
That's just Rogue, though. She doesn't even feel the effects of anything.
And that's funny because Red Onslaught literally says that. He's like, I'm not pumping any hate into her. This is her hate.
Yeah, she gets that from Carol. Literally, she took it from her.
Wanda's the one telling her to chill, and then suddenly it's Wanda that's actually being taken over by Red Skull, and it's Rogue who's like, hold it together. Remender just did a 180.
It's like when somebody talks shit to somebody who's bigger, and then they're like, whoa, actually, no, I changed my mind. We shouldn't fight. That's how when she talked shit, then Wanda got mad.
It's like, whoa, you're going to defend yourself? I didn't ask for that.
Oh, shit. My bad. I mixed this up. I thought Magneto got hit by Onslaught. But this is when Havoc is like, you know what? Yeah, Onslaught sucks, but so do you, Magneto. And he shoots Magneto into the building. And that's when Magneto sees Cyclops and them. Because then Havoc goes in to follow Magneto, and he sees... Because Magneto frees Cyclops, Evan, or Genesis, or Phil Collins, and
See, it's funnier if you picture it.
Quick Fire. Anyway, he frees them only just in time for Havoc to show up and decide, now I'm gonna kill Cyclops. And he attacks Scott, and he's like, "You murdered Xavier, and this is all your fault because you started this when you killed him. And right now, Red Skull wouldn't be able to have a piece of his brain if it wasn't for that."
There are like some white girls outside. That
I
are
know,
just
it's so
staring at us.
distracting if you guys are staring, and then I'm seeing them in the reflection of the door. So it's, yeah, fucking.
We had to pick the office that's 90% windows.
Because they're being weird and like pointing over here and looking real hard. So
Anyway, Genesis breaks up. Well, I was gonna say the fighting between Havoc and Scott, but it's really just Havoc beating the shit out of Cyclops. And he's like, "Hey, how come you're talking a big game about Xavier mattering, but maybe do something he taught you?" Which is, he shouldn't want that. He's a child. He shouldn't want them to do anything that Xavier taught them.
right? Does he even know Xavier?
No, not really.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He's only heard of him.
You just read his 10 Commandments,
He has commandments?
probably.
Oh, gotcha.
They're more like cult rules than
Yeah.
commandments. It's like you give me all of your furniture and I sell it, and then you're not allowed to talk to your family.
Yeah. And anyway, so Genesis breaks up Cyclops and Havoc, and he's like, "Listen, guys, we gotta focus and we gotta do what's right." And there's a harpoon through me, cause Ahab throws a fucking psionic harpoon.
Who the hell invited Ahab? That's what I want to know.
It's so random that he's just here.
I think he was like the warden guy of the camp, right?
Oh,
or like
okay.
the hunter. Like he hunts mutants, and he was putting them there.
That makes more sense.
I just don't know when that happened.
Probably an uncanny Avengers, but
Yeah.
it was just weird. Yeah, he just shows up helping out Red Skull.
Although I thought he only had one super harpoon, and this
That's what I
dude
thought.
has so many harpoons in this book.
I thought he had one and he like calls it back to him or something.
Yeah, and he just kept making new ones. Like he hits Evan with one, and he goes down. And during one panel, because he goes to throw it at Havoc, and Cyclops jumps in front of it, and he gets stabbed in the shoulder, and that looked real stupid. That there was this long ass pole just coming out of
It was like an
Cyclops'
inch in his,
yeah.
into his arm. It was ridiculous.
And then he had another one, and you could. So in that one panel, you see one harpoon sticking out of Evan's back, one harpoon inside of Cyclops, and one in Ahab's hand. And also Quentin's knocked out for some reason. Like just out of nowhere.
It's a strong harpoon.
Yeah, anyway. So Genesis is harpooned by Ahab, and then Old Man Rogers, like cut back to him. He's sending out heroes. He's like, Spider-Man and a team are gonna go stop people from rioting, and we're gonna send out more teams stopping other people from killing each other because hate. And he's like, figure something out, Tony. And Tony's like, once there's a big enough energy signature, I'll follow it. But there's not, so chill your pampers. Because he's an old man, he's incontinent.
Yeah. He shits himself.
Yeah. And then Tony goes
Also,
over
he
to,
looks a lot like Clint Eastwood in this.
yeah. And Tony goes over to Janet, and she's sad because they haven't heard from Havoc at all because he's been missing. And they're banging, you know? Because in the future, they know they're supposed to have a kid.
Yeah, and I don't know about you because we know where the relationship with Janet and Tony's going.
Yeah, he's thinking about it right now.
Yeah, this whole book, I'm like creeped out by him. Like,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch.
Yeah, because right in this moment, like he goes to comfort Janet, and she's like, "I'm worried about Havoc." He's like, he's fine. I'm sure he's a strong guy.
Yeah.
He's
Why don't you come closer to me and I'll console you?
yeah. We're not gonna bang in 6 years,
Yeah.
5 years.
They're banging now.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody's banging now.
I don't know what's going on right now in the Iron Man book.
I mean, I
But in
guess in like
2019. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
well with like Marvel timeline, I guess it would be like a year until they start banging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no time at all.
So he's like, yeah, forget about Havoc.
Yeah.
This whole event's gonna mess him up, so you can just.
He's there and gone. Barely an inconvenience. I knew that'd get you. Anyway,
hitting on girls while their boyfriends are missing is tight.
so Iron Man's like, as soon as there's a big enough energy signature, we're just gonna follow him. So chill. And now back to the fight with Onslaught. Wanda is fully under the Red Onslaught's control, and Rogue's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use my power to like steal your power because I just now thought to do this."
It's her one actual power. Everything
Yeah.
else is just stuff she stole.
From that one power.
Yeah.
And so she does that, and she's like, "Oh no, this is like the darkest dark and evil." But wait a minute, Xavier, and Xavier's like, "I'm holding my hands up to outer space. You gotta solve it from out there." Like, that's a weird panel. I don't even know how to understand that panel.
Well, if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z, he's like helping to build her spirit bomb, metaphorically speaking.
He says a nice thing in that, like, if it were up to any of my students to fix all of this, I'm glad it's you.
Yeah,
Which
and
he
he
would
literally
say
says
to
that to all
anybody.
Of them.
Yeah.
Anybody went there, he would say that to him.
Yeah. He says that all the time. If it was Scott, he would have said it to Scott, like Jean.
But you know, it went to her head.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. He's like a parent telling all of his kids, "You're my favorite kid."
Yeah.
And the only reason he might mean this more than when he usually says it is because a part of him is literally inside of Rogue.
He's like, "Rogue, I'm so glad you're here. You're my favorite pizza place." Sorry, wrong bit.
You're referencing so many YouTube channels.
I know. Anyway, Rogue's like, he's in there. Xavier's in there, and he gave me a bit of his power somehow. Because that was weird, because that doesn't really come into play again. Other than, like, she can, like, she has enough of, I still don't get that.
It's just like
she
enough.
absorbed Xavier to know that he's in there, but
It's just enough that like Red Skull can't really take her over easily.
right. Yeah, I guess. And, like, is sort of shielding her mind.
Yeah.
Because later she says something about, like, "Oh, Xavier told me another thing that you don't know, that I took Wonder Man's power and, like, used it to smash through Red Skull's or Red Onslaught's head." And
She was
So,
already
like-
using that power, though.
but she's been using that power.
Yeah. Also, it feels like she could do that from what she got from Carol.
Yeah. And also,
That's why she took Wonder Man's powers, so it's like the same exact thing almost.
I think
It just doubles up on her Carol powers.
Red Onslaught was just sort of like, wonder who?
Well, because she lost Carol's powers. So that's what they gave her Wonder Man's powers.
Oh, I didn't know she lost Carol's powers at this point.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
but my bit was that Wonder Man's so unknown and pointless that even Red Onslaught was like, I don't know who you're.
Wonder Man, the actor?
Fuck you.
Everybody knows who Wonder Man is in this universe. He's an actor.
I'm speaking more to his anonymity in the Marvel books as a prominent superhero. So, anyway, Rogue's all like, "I got Xavier in me now." So you're not gonna stop me.
As you said that, I looked at the panel, that's Scarlet Witch, and it looks like she's reacting to how you just said that. She's like, ah!
Yeah. Well, because Scarlet Witch is like actually like, okay, yeah, your hate's my hate, and your enemies are my enemies. She's full on brain controlled now, and
Pretty sure those are Limp Bizkit lyrics.
and Rogue saves Wanda. She like fucking tackles her out of the sky, and then they go around a corner of a building, and he's like, Rogue's like, he's never gonna find us there, and she's right. Onslaught doesn't even bother trying. He never finds them around that building. So crafty.
It was his one weakness.
Oh, you know what? I think
Oh,
that's
because he
how.
got shot by the Avengers. They showed up.
Yeah, I think that's how Rogue uses his powers. She frees Wanda's mind briefly. That's right. Okay.
Oh.
And then it doesn't matter after that.
No, then the Backstreet Boys show up.
Yeah.
All right.
So apparently a big enough energy signature happened, and bam, Avengers. And nothing but puns from those guys.
Yep. And Deadpool hasn't even showed up yet.
Captain America's like, I'm a bird now. Tony's like,
I'm
quip.
a man of iron.
Fucking Thor is like, tag on the quip. You know? I don't fucking know. I don't remember the banter. I just remember it was very bantery.
Havoc said, "Guess I'm feeling sassy."
Yeah.
That's worth
Was that
noting.
Havoc or
No,
was that
Hawkeye
Hawkeye?
said that.
Oh,
Hawkeye.
yeah, Hawkeye
That was-
said
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think Hawkeye said a couple things that were
Those
like,
H's.
I think he said it's complimentary at one point. I think I remember that.
Yeah,
exact-
complimentary on birthdays, he said.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't have a lot to do, that guy.
No, Hawkeye. That's
He
the
was
one
mad
panel
later.
I remember him being in.
He was mad later because he's like, I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They keep on inviting an archer to world-ending events.
while this is happening, Ahab still fighting the X-Men that are there, and suddenly X-Men show up, and I don't know who called the X-Men exactly.
It wasn't just it was the X-Men, the Mighty Avengers, and
Inhumans, I
Yeah.
guess, but I
there's
think
like
I
Luke
only
Cage and
noticed
Iron Fist or
Medusa.
whatever.
But yeah, that was the only Inhuman I noticed. But first, yeah, the X-Men show up. You got Nightcrawler, Storm, and Colossus, and that's
Yeah.
where you got some more weird dialogue, like Storm saying some stuff that she would never say.
Yeah, but like they're cool. Like there's a moment between Scott and Kurt that's like, oh, there's like reconciling or whatever. But that's the weird part is that like Kurt and Scott didn't have an issue. Because
Yeah.
like the last time Nightcrawler saw Cyclops, he had an arm through his chest.
Well, is Cyclops? That was literally like Nightcrawler was all pissed off at Cyclops.
Oh yeah, because of X-Force.
yeah. So maybe he was apologizing for that, or like they were like, "Hey, forget about the whole arm through your chest thing. It's arm through the I mean, water under the bridge."
It's arm through the chest. Oh man, I gotta remember to keep that in my verbal retorts.
Repertoire?
Yes, repertoire. For any time I would use water under the bridge, just arm through the chest.
It's arm through
instead.
the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about like saving the summers, and Nightcrawler says, "Clearly, you haven't seen the Family Variety Hour special."
Yeah, it's
Ahab.
terrible.
It's quite heartwarming, and yeah, but that makes sense for Nightcrawler to say. But for Storm to be like, Cable does a spectacular mime routine. Rachel does face painting. Seems like she wouldn't be.
Into that.
She'd be more
Doing
like,
it.
I'm calling the thunder.
She'd-
That's the type of shit she's saying.
So
not-
she's got the face painting.
She'd be asking him what happens to toads when they're struck by lightning.
Speaking of Cable, though, I was reading the first Deadpool series earlier, and I found out something stupid that you would appreciate.
Okay.
It's that he used to go by Cable Winter or Nathan Winters.
Oh, that's amazing.
I read that and I was like, that is stupid.
That is stupid.
and that's probably 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's a Liefeld thing? or during that era?
Liefeld might have done that, but he didn't write the book that I read because I don't read
Well, yeah, because
Liefeld.
that's like calling back. But it seems like something where he's like, oh, no, I'm not Nathan Summers.
Yeah.
No, I'm Nathan Winters.
It's literally the same thing in Future Man when he's like, no, because his name's Futterman, and he's like, no, I'm Josh Pastman.
You know what though? That's only made me like in my own life, the decision I made so that reference makes sense to me. It's only made me believe in it more. The Winters
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Well, because you had your own Will Winters that you like.
yeah, dude, just fucking dropping bombs.
But the Nightcrawler and the Scott, that kind of interaction, that made sense to me. Because they were like, you came, and he was like, yeah, we did. You're
Yeah,
right.
no, did.
That made sense.
Came all over this bitch.
That made sense. Storm didn't make sense. The last time we saw Storm and Cyclops in the same room, she wanted to, like, kill him, basically.
I mean, I understand her helping. It was just the joking that didn't make sense.
Yeah, like her entire demeanor and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's just not her character.
Maybe she's happy Wolverine's dead.
Probably. She had to stop pretending that she was orgasming.
Yeah.
So then everybody arrives. Beast is all like, Avengers, X-Men, let's smash some skull. You know,
Because he's I don't want to offend anybody, but clearly I like the Avengers more, so I won't say assemble.
Yeah.
So here's young Jean and Psylocke. We got to point that out.
Yeah.
Telepaths.
Yeah, you see them and then like they don't matter.
They never matter. Where are all the telepaths? We need them.
Yeah. Everything's on Quentin.
Yep. Apparently they didn't like Emma since she shows up 0 times during this whole book.
Yeah, and Stark shows up in front of Red Onslaught and he's like, "Hey, notice your telepathy's not working?" It's crazy cuz science, you know, I scienced. I almost said magicked for some reason. I
Who
scienced
also
the
didn't
solution.
show up in this book.
Right?
Yep.
They could have used that bus.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Cyclops' whole team almost didn't show up. Just him and Magneto.
Yeah,
Like,
apparently
you
he
got
was
it.
just kidnapped and that was it.
Yeah, Magneto's not even technically on his team right now.
Yeah, true. So just Cyclops. Everyone else is just chilling at the bunker.
Yeah, Magneto was off killing people and having sex with a lady with some weird leg brace.
As one does.
Yeah, as you do.
When you're a freedom fighter.
Anyway.
It's literally in the job application.
Well, I mean, it's a metal leg brace, so imagine what he can
You see those things that leg does?
Considering we've seen him change light bulbs, like with using magnetism.
It would be hilarious to find out that he ever, like, dated Misty Knight for a time. And then she's just like, no, we broke up. He kept making my arm jerk him off.
Although I am just now realizing how funny it is that Misty Knight has dated Iron Fist.
That's funny. Who gets fisted would surprise you. Not at all. Danny Rand. Danny Rand gets fisted. So Stark stops the telepathy, and it seems like all the heroes are there. And they're beating Red Onslaught. And he's got no chance of victory. And basically the end, you know?
Issue 1.
Yep.
Not the episode.
Because it turns out, adamantium sentinels, yo. Red Onslaught's just like, hey, Tony. They're great.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it turns out that during the Civil War time, Tony Stark thought of a way to create the perfect superhero hunting sentinel.
Yeah,
And-
he pulled a Batman.
And Red Onslaught built these sentinels by just reading his mind briefly. After Tony already deleted his memory banks of that period. And Red Onslaught was just like, I'm such a powerful psychic. MacGuffin.
Well, he made Tony build them.
Well, Tony said he doesn't remember building them at all.
But it shows him building them.
Does it?
Yeah.
When
Yeah, they say he built them and then they just took it away.
No.
He said he thought it was like a dream and shit.
So what is it's like you ever dream that you're at work and then you wake up and you have to go to work?
Damn it.
Or worse, you are at work.
No, it's fine. I slept through half my shift. It's almost done now.
Or you feel that way, but it's only been 20 minutes. And actually, you have 7.5 hours left. So anyway, adamantium sentinels show up, and then that's the end of the first book.
Yep.
The second book, the second book
The second book.
is literally it starts 1 hour later, and all those same heroes are just getting their asses kicked, and they're like, it's hard to believe it's only been an hour, but these sentinels are really kicking our ass. And there's a whole thing that happens where Tony, he's like being super introspectively like pitying himself the whole time. It's like, man, when did I do this? I couldn't have done this, but I know I did this.
He's being sad boyish.
Yeah, he was like, I was so mean to, like, the kids in school, and, like, this is definitely why this is happening. Even though I apologized to them when I got sober, I then did it again. Like, I figured out the weaknesses of everyone around me and then exploited it. So, oops.
Yeah, and he even said he didn't apologize to all of them. He's just like, the ones I was really bad with, they got apologies. The ones I was kind of fucked up with, he's like, no, they can go fuck themselves.
So anyway, what's his face? Sam Cap.
Sam Cap?
He
Cap Sam America?
he goes to Tony. He's like, "Hey man, wake up!
Grab a brush, pillow, makeup."
And Tony says some lines that are clever and quippy about Lord of the Rings and him being his Samwise. And he's like, all right, well, I don't even remember these Sentinels. I don't know how we're supposed to stop them. Maybe I should think about what would the perfect Sentinel be. And then he thinks about it, and he's like, oh, okay, that must be what they are. And it turns out they're specifically made to beat superheroes in all their superhero-iness. Doesn't matter what they do to them. They're automatically going to win because they just, prep time. And that whenever they just look at a hero, they cover them in pine particles and shrink them down. And on the inside of the Sentinel is basically just a prison.
Did you say Pime?
Pim?
I thought you said pine.
I said Pime and meant Pim. Yep.
Pine.
I was thinking of the word in my head, and it's P-Y-M,
Yeah.
Yeah, Pim. I know it's Pim.
I know.
We've all seen Ant-Man.
It's still fucking hilarious.
I know.
Hank Pym.
Yeah. He totally looks like a Pime, man. So anyway.
This fucking quote. Rogue. When I touched Onslaught, I saw Xavier.
Yeah.
That wasn't even like a real thing. It was just flashbacks from memories they erased.
So, Cap gets hit by the weird tractor beam thing.
Tractor.
Yeah. And Tony pulls him out of it, and he's like, yeah, that's the thing that will catch you and put you inside of, tiny, like, shrunken prison. I'm assuming it's like a jail, like they're all jail cells in there, but they're all super tiny.
Why does Shrunken Prison sound like a Jackie Chan movie?
I don't know.
Jackie Chan in Shrunken Prison. It's a sequel to Drunken Master.
And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. They're the same
like
universe. I don't know. It's a whole extended universe with like Jackie Chan and Rick Moranis.
Oh. And it's like Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis is doing all the Chris Tucker role.
Yeah, he's like not even being his character from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He's doing a Chris Tucker impression.
Yeah.
So now I need Chris Tucker doing Rick Moranis and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. So anyway, then Iron Man gets hit with the weird tractor beam look, and Captain America knocks him out of it. And then he gets taken instead, and Iron Man gets shot down into more rubble because there's rubble and buildings everywhere. And then he gets hit by the weird tractor beam again. And he's like, convert all power to thrusters. And his armor's like, no. And he's like, do it. And it's like, no. And then Doctor Strange shows up and stops Iron Man from getting taken by the tractor beam. So, then he's like, Strange, what are you doing here? Which is really weird. Or strange.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Because you would think it's obvious why he's there.
Yeah.
They're fighting the Red Onslaught.
Yeah.
And a bunch of heroes just showed up to do it.
And he's about to be very, like, central to the story.
And somehow not at all.
Yeah. Well, it was still his idea.
No, it wasn't even his idea. It was Wanda's.
Well, she didn't want to work with Doctor Doom.
Oh, spoiler.
So
Doctor Doom's not in the story.
Yeah, no.
So what you get from this story so far is that Tony Stark doesn't charge his suits.
Yeah, pretty much. He needs one of those portable chargers.
With USB.
Cash.
Because his suit's constantly getting compromised, and it's just it's just getting worse and worse throughout the story. And at this point, it's pretty bad, obviously, because the suit didn't even want to convert its power to the thrusters or whatever. And Wanda has the idea, hey, if Xavier's in there, because like you said, Rogue has the line saying, I touched Red Skull and felt Xavier or whatever. And so they're like, all right, well, if Xavier's consciousness is in there, all we have to do is change its axis, the Red Onslaught's axis, and have Xavier's mind become the controlling dominant mind. And so Scarlet Witch is like, if I control the Chaos forces and Doctor Strange, you control Order forces, we'll work together and swap it. And he's like, I understand magic, yes.
It's like, bitch, I taught you everything, like, throwing commands at me.
Which actually doesn't even make sense, though. Because she's like, if I can channel chaos and you channel order, we'll create an in-between effect. So other words, nothing. If those are opposites and you're going to make an in-between, what is an in-between?
Just regular.
Yeah.
Axis, man.
Which it would mean nothing changes.
Except it flips.
Yeah, all the heroes.
Because words. I don't know. Like, don't dig too deep.
I heard after this event, all the heroes start having seasons. So
that's what happens when you try to explain it too much, though.
Yeah,
just do it.
Well, they're trying.
Thanks for the advice, Shia.
they're trying. There's just two big robots trying to also destroy them.
Two metal robots and a Magneto.
Right.
Walk into a bar. And Magneto does nothing.
Yeah, Magneto moves the bar so it doesn't hit him.
Anyway, fuck. So they decide they're gonna do that spell, and Tony's like, okay, well, we're gonna take on the Sentinels. He's talking to Magneto, and because the whole time Magneto keeps calling him Mr. Stark because, it's all Tony's fault, and Tony's like real bitter about that. He knows it's all his fault, but doesn't like that freedom fighter in Magneto is calling him a bad guy because hypocrisy. So he's like, just follow my lead, and the two of us will take on these Sentinels. Which interesting, right? Because this is like the first verses of the AVX, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's a team up in the next X-Men Avengers crossover.
True, I didn't think about that. I got to point out this quote because it's very important. I just noticed it actually. Iron Man says, "Murderer is a fairly consistent metric on the ethical scale." By calling what's his name, Magneto, a villain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of sick burns from that guy to the other guy.
Did Tony Stark commit war crimes?
Yeah. But it was 'cause Wolverine.
A lot of bit. A little bit commit war crimes.
Because if Wolverine's a hero and Magneto's a villain, a freedom fighter, I don't know. It seemed kind of the same to me. Except for that Magneto fights for freedom and Wolverine doesn't.
Wolverine fights for freedom from child support.
Yeah.
Because he kills his kids.
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation.
There might be listeners who don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, he kills all his kids.
Welcome to this episode of Devin Explains His Own Jokes.
Hey, man, they might not know. They might still be asleep.
You're like a rapper.
They need to get woke.
Get it?
Yeah. Man. So, Iron Man and Magneto take on the Sentinels, and they're leaving Red Onslaught to Rogue, and that's when she has that line of like, Red Onslaught doesn't even know I got Wonder Man's powers.
He's like, who the fuck's Wonder Man?
Exactly. The actor?
I do love the idea of being like, it's like, you took his acting ability?
If she would have wore those glasses, he would have known.
How is You know what? I was gonna say, how is there no comparison of like Wonder Man and like Johnny Cage? But maybe there is. Maybe there is like that treatment to Wonder Man. Like Wonder Man goes out and no one takes him seriously because he's an actor, and then he turns out to be a badass.
I think, he like mostly retired from being a superhero to do acting.
Oh. Yeah, I don't care about that guy. Apparently.
Whenever I read him in,
'Cause I don't know anything.
I think he was in New Avengers. I don't think they brought up acting that much. It was when Sentry was in New Avengers, he was dating Carol, or they had something going on.
When was that?
Was it when they all had the same faces and shoulders?
Because I think
Probably.
after House of M is when he started to become an actor.
Because remember, House of M,
Yeah, he
like
was,
literally all the guys had the same face and shoulders
It was when
and neck.
when Sentry first came back before he ripped Ares in half. So before Siege.
Okay.
So Siege was 2008, and so it's about the same time. It's like a couple years after.
Yeah. So Rogue saves Nova, and Nova's like, "Gee, thanks. I'm gonna help now because I'm a superhero." And then he attacks the Sentinels, and Tony's like, "Hey, that's not part of the plan." And he's like, "There's a plan?" Apparently there was a plan. And that if another person hit a Sentinel, that ruined the plan, and that allowed the Sentinels to see Doctor Strange and Wanda, and then straight up pin particle them to prison.
You think they should have told more people this plan?
Maybe. But, like, I don't understand how Nova ruined the plan. Because, like, the whole part on Tony and Magneto's half was, like, hit the Sentinels. You know? They just had a third guy now helping them hit Sentinels.
Well, and if everything it learned was about, it was from Tony's Civil War files, he has nothing on Sam Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have stuff on Richard Rider, but even he was in space at the time. He wasn't a part of the initiative.
But he's a hero, and they kind of look exactly the same in that uniform.
Racist. They're not. One is white, and the other is half white.
Full mask.
Off-white. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was really weird. Like, you were, like, digging too deep with the whole how does the magic even work if one's controlling chaos and the other one's controlling order, and you'd think they would just negate each other. I don't understand how another guy hitting a giant robot with you ruined your plan.
No, I don't either.
But it does. And it fucks him up. Because then Magneto gets shot, and he goes through another building. That dude's constantly getting tossed through walls and roofs and whatnot. And then Tony gets stepped on.
Yep. Very slowly.
Very slowly. He catches it, and you think he's going to have like a Spider-Man moment where he's like trying really hard not to get squashed, and he's telling all his power now to divert to the leg hydraulics. And it's like, but I thought you wanted thrusters.
It's like
it's like a slow computer. It's finally doing the last thing he had wanted it to do.
I like the idea though that instead of him like holding up the foot, it's like that scene in Austin Powers where he's about to run over that dude who was on Mad TV, and he's like 40 feet away, but it's moving at like 2 miles an hour, and he's just screaming.
Oh,
As the
yeah.
foot slowly like comes down, and he's like
The Zamboni.
No,
Or no, it wasn't
steamroller.
the steamroller. That was something McDonald.
Yeah,
The guy from Mad TV.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that the first time I saw that. And then I watched Mad TV, and then I saw it again. I was like, oh, shit, I recognize that guy. And I've told all of you. So, anyway, I love this part that happens, though, because as Tony's slowly being squashed, presumably to death, which you'd also think he would just reroute all his power to thrusters to zoom out of there, and doesn't.
Or just walk.
And it's just like, hey, integrity's failing, the suit's gonna get crushed. Magneto comes out of the building that he was just blasted into.
Brushes his shoulders off like a boss.
Yeah.
I learned that from Jay-Z.
Iron Man's like, hey, Magneto, maybe lift the Sentinel off me. and he does what you said. He brushes his shoulder off, and then he just flies away. And he's like, oh, fuck you then. And fuck Germans, basically, because Red Skull, German, and Magneto, German. And then Nightcrawler teleports in. He's like, hey, man, maybe don't be racist.
Strudel.
Strudel. He does say that. Like, there's good things that come from Germans.
Which was funny because you think he's talking about him.
Right.
Not all Germans are bad. Then he brings up Strudel.
Yeah. He teleports him out of there.
That was the one thing a German could think of.
And then Tony Stark blacks out and then comes to. And when he comes to, it's basically the last of the heroes are hiding in a room somewhere.
It's like a basement.
And you learn that throughout the night, because Tony had been passed out all night, the heroes tried again against Onslaught and lost 12 more of their number to the Sentinels. And that now it's Quentin Quire who's the only thing keeping Red Onslaught even remotely at bay and from being able to find them. So I'm assuming that, like, Jean Grey and Psylocke just got taken.
Yeah. And
Along
Emma.
with Beast
And the
and-
Cuckoos. And Monet. All
Yeah.
of the telepaths ever.
Just,
apparently.
like, quickly.
Yeah, Nova, too, it looks like.
Nova, and apparently the rest of the Fantastic Four. Not that they were there to begin with, but it's only Sue.
Right.
In a badass red costume, I might add. Because I've never seen him in red.
I think they were all in red during this time.
I'm guessing, but I didn't read. I only seen him in the white and then the blue.
Yeah, they're in the red costumes at this time.
I think Johnny's dead, right?
No, they showed him flying in.
I thought when Johnny was dead, that's when they did the white, because then Spider-Man got his white costume.
Well,
right,
they did
for
the Future
Fantastic
Foundation,
Four.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just confused on when that all happened.
Yeah, Johnny died during, like, Hickman's run.
Hickman's Fantastic Run.
Yeah, Fantastic Four run. I haven't read it
To confirm it's fantastic.
Anyway, so they're like, we're just gonna try one more time, one more run at Onslaught, because what is there left for us to do? And I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the internal monologue of Havoc at this point,
he looks like Deadpool.
because they
Right
they all kind of have their reconciling moment again, because they're sort of like, we're probably gonna die out there, so love you guys. Yeah, I love you too. Yeah, let's go be superheroes. And then they go and they fight, and Alex in his mind's all like, Xavier, if you could hear my thoughts, I want you to know Cyclops, not such a bad guy.
Right. You're always reading my thoughts, Xavier. Hope you're reading them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where I was another example of the stupidity there, because he says about Cyclops, when the chips were down, he was there for us. Like, when was he ever not there for you?
Yeah.
It was everybody else who wasn't there for him.
Yeah.
Any time that you guys needed him, he was there.
'Cause you're there for me, too.
But it's just another example of them, like, demonizing Scott, acting like he was a bad dude.
Pretty much. It's like,
Yeah, they can't even compliment him without being like, yeah, but like, fuck that guy.
like, we guess he's fine, but not really. Yeah, because there's that moment where he in his own thoughts, he's saying, when it really mattered, Scott Summers fought alongside the Avengers to protect a world that hates and fears him. It's like, well, he always did that, though.
Yeah, he was just focusing
was
on
always the
protecting the mutants that were being attacked.
Yeah, by your boss,
Yeah. And I said he's, like, working with his sworn enemy. It's like, who?
the patron saint of authority. Which, oh, by the way, that was a thing that is a thing that happens later, but it was funny. So that it goes terribly. Red Onslaught basically beats them all up. Iron Man's the last one left. His suit's out of power, and then all the villains show up.
Yeah, Magneto's like, on your left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it turns out, because Tony Stark built these robots, these Sentinels, during the Civil War time, and he was only focused on heroes, he somehow missed that villains are in the world and that they may ever be an issue. So these Sentinels have no defense against villainous tactics. which is like the dumbest thing.
Because weren't villains in some of Civil War 2?
There was
Tony
like
Stark
two of
used
them, but
he Suicide Squatted them.
yeah, and there was a couple on, I think on Captain America's side that Punisher killed.
Yeah, because Captain America's working with him and he showed up.
Yeah, and he was like,
remember
he murders them and is like, nah, like, this is the shit Tony Stark was doing. You're not going to do it.
Captain
And then
America
they're
starts beating the shit out of him.
yeah, they're like, you need to leave.
Yeah,
Punisher
Carter
probably
Buck.
had the most integrity in that story.
If there's anything about the Punisher I can guarantee is that he knows how he feels and he will never change his mind.
And he'll always be a Vietnam vet.
Yeah, which is weird.
Always.
Because he's like 70 right now.
So anyway, the villains show up and they're like, we got this, and then that's the end of that book.
There's some
Yeah.
weird dialogue. Like
Even-
Magneto, I'm pretty fair at killing Nazis. Are you fair at killing Nazis?
I think fair in terms of like he's alright at it.
Yeah, but I'd assume he's a little better than all right.
I think he was just being facetious.
Yeah, maybe. But fair is a weird word to use.
Yeah, but he's an old German guy.
Maybe it means he like makes it fun.
I
Like
think-
it's like a fair.
I think
Right.
English might be his third language,
Possibly.
right? Probably German's his first.
Yes, he speaks German.
No, because I was gonna say I think maybe German's his first, Yiddish is his second. Like that was in my mind and I fucked it up. And then English.
Then Krakoan.
Now Krakoan, yeah. I think that
That
superseded it all,
he
though.
cheated to get that
Yeah,
though.
true.
Yeah.
Nobody actually learned how to speak Krakoan.
Or
Somebody
no,
had to learn.
He has such
No,
a
they didn't because Cypher.
What Cypher learned.
He just
And then what?
knows.
And then Emma had to read it and then give it
Cypher
to people.
and Krakoa together, like they created it, and then Xavier just implanted it into everybody. But I actually like
all
the
lazy
idea
shit.
that Magneto's so distrusting that he actually never took the helmet off, and he just learned it. He took semesters upon semesters of Krakoan courses to pick it up, and
That'd take
You know.
extra long for him too because he's not exactly the person who'd like let somebody teach him either.
yeah, no, he's terrible study.
I
no one
think-
could tutor him.
I think it was like that, and then he died, and when they resurrected him, they're just
They
like,
just
just
gave it-
put it in his brain.
It's like he wants the book, but then doesn't trust the book because he didn't write the book.
Or even better, in his attempt to learn Krakoan, he dies of some freak accident, and then Xavier's like, well, good thing that happened.
His head explodes because the language is too hard.
All right, so chapter 3 of Axis. Deadpool is just chewing the scenery. Just going on and on. Actually pretty great.
Yep.
Wanting to be an Avengers member. The whole bit about how, hey man, you know that feeling of like when you show up at a party and you show up with people who are losers, but you're not with them, and then you're like,
Yeah.
you don't want to say I'm not with these guys because that's mean, but also you don't want to be thought of as with those guys. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not a bad guy. I just happen to catch the villain bus here. I
Yeah,
missed
they
the
take
hero
the
bus.
same Uber.
Yeah. And the whole time, Iron Man's just like, where the fuck are you dragging me, man? Why aren't you answering? Because, of course, he's not going to answer because he's just trying to get his point out. And his point being, can I be an Avenger? And he's like, no, hell no, never, as long as I'm alive. And Deadpool's like, well, all right.
Yeah, he's like, where the fuck are you dragging me?
I was just going to charge your suit, man. I saw an exposed wire.
Because that's
That's
how
all
you
it
turn
takes.
suit.
It just turns out you're a jerk sometimes.
Yeah, and then it's implied that Stark's like, all right, I changed my mind. You can be an Avenger.
And then
Because you had electricity.
and then the other villains are just beating up the Sentinels with almost no issues at all.
Yeah, 'cause then it goes straight from Deadpool chewing the scene to Carnage.
Yeah, a bit. He ends up ripping out an eyeball of one of the Sentinels, and he has a line about like how the only thing that's motivating him to do this is so that he can kill the other villains that are there when it's over.
Yeah, which from the amount of Carnage I read, I think they tried to justify this in a stupid way because you have a pretty simple solution of why Carnage would do this, and it's because that like Carnage wants to kill everybody, yeah, but he doesn't like he hates the whole mass death thing. He kills people because he likes to feel like he likes to see the light leaving their eyes and to slowly kill them.
Your eyes got really big saying that.
Yeah.
It's a bit disturbing.
But I mean, they could have just said like that's why he's helping out because like Red Skull takes over the Earth and he can't kill people.
Well, he basically does in a way.
Yeah, but it's
He's
like I'm doing it to kill people. Like,
well, he also said because there's a lot of like Red Skull, you're going too far, man. You're taking all the world for yourself. We can't have that kind of thing.
He said he didn't want to bow to Red Skull. Basically.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's like sort of all their motivation. All the villains.
There's a Marvel DC comic crossover with Joker and Carnage, where like they cannot just coexist together because Joker wants to like just do like a mass murder of people. And, like, Carnage thinks that's stupid, and Carnage wants to slowly kill people and watch them bleed, and the Joker thinks it's gross.
Oh. That's what now?
It's a crossover comic between Marvel and DC.
Huh. I've never heard of that. I mean, I've heard of Marvel and DC crossover. I know what the Amalgam universe is. I've just never heard of a Joker Carnage one.
Yeah, it's not the Amalgam, because I think the Amalgam is where they
fuse into something different.
Yeah, this is a universe where all of them exist separately.
There's more weird dialogue here because you got Enchantress who says that's the kind of oversight that gets you uninvited to fondue parties. When is Enchantress going to fondue parties? That's what I'm
I
curious.
think
They have them at the bar with no name.
the problem is Remender's writing banter
for people who don't
don't do banter. And so it's really weird. It's sort of like if the hero's banter is G or PG, he just went PG-13 for the villains. And it's still just weird. Like, other than Deadpool and Carnage, what's coming out of everyone else's mouths, it doesn't really make sense.
Like, Enchantress is sounding like a rich housewife right now, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
She's Asgardian, and this does not fly.
Like, Deadpool's got a line where he's, like, pointing out villains to Tony. He's like, yeah, that's the Hobgoblin. He's like the Green Goblin, but more Hob. And it's like, all right, Deadpool would say that.
Yeah.
Makes more sense. But he writes really good Doom and Loki, though.
Yeah, he wrote them really well.
Yeah, well, because those are like the super villains, right? Everyone else is like quote unquote super villain, and those are like the mastermind villains who are like, we don't really even got to try. We're just technically here, showing our support, I guess.
Yeah, well, they're like Carnage is technically street level, like super villain, but they're like take over the universe super villains.
Yeah. Loki and Doom are talking, and then suddenly it looks like Loki's smashed by one of the Sentinels, and Doom's like, surely you didn't get defeated that quickly, and Loki's like, nope, I didn't. Also, quip about a teacher I had.
I was accepting of that quip.
And then Magneto, sure.
He said he was the star trickster in his class.
Yeah. And then Magneto, like, actually uses his magnetic powers to rip apart, like, a big chunk of the head of another one of the Sentinels.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, exactly. Finally. It's like, dude.
There's only 2 Sentinels. Where have you been?
Yeah. Like, he was totally phoning it in when he was fighting with Tony earlier.
Yeah.
He just had to do that twice, and it would have been over.
He just did that just to shit on Dr. Doom.
Yeah. He's like, I think Doom was saying something about being awesome, and Magneto's like, who's awesome?
Did someone say awesome?
Well, because I would say Magneto's the only other villain that's on the level of Doom and Loki.
Yeah, but he had to, like, rub it in. Like, I'm more important than you guys. They're robots, and I control metal.
Yeah. I mean, his powers are weakened right now because I was thinking he could have just solved this whole problem by himself if he was the actual, like, normal level Magneto.
That's actually weird because
still just take screws out of him.
I know that during this time, he's taking the mutant growth hormone.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Then yeah, he should have solved this.
So he's doing the thing that he's also trying to fight and stop. And he gets a guy to make him mutant growth hormone. So I don't know what his deal is currently, because I don't remember if like he stopped doing that by the end of the book or like toward Axis or not.
I feel like he gets it. He gets the hormone because he's like calls up Dazzler. So
Yeah.
You want to hang out, and then just knocks her out.
So while all those villains are beating up the Sentinels, Red Onslaught is just taken on by Captain America, who's not Captain America. Like, shows up.
Yeah, but also not that Captain America that's not Captain America. Like one who's actually not Captain America.
Steve Rogers, who's not Captain America, who's not Steve Rogers.
Nazi Cap.
But not.
Not Nazi Cap.
Ha! Not Z Cap.
It's not the Cap.
Yeah, so just to distract Red Onslaught, because he's all like, Captain America, I thought you were an old man. How did you recover? And then it's like, ha, psych, I'm not recovered or a man. I'm Mystique.
She's a man.
Oh,
You get
I
an
just-
Enchantress. Yeah?
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Still, it was just stuck in my head still from She's a Man.
You get Enchantress finally doing something. I
Yeah.
mean, sounding like Enchantress. No more jokes. She came in here pretty badass right here.
Yeah, because Red Onslaught was all like, well, I'm going to kill you for not even being Captain America. And Mystique was like, I was just the distraction. And then Enchantress is like, fucking fall in love with me. And then he did. And then she's like, doesn't that hurt? You being in love? A creature of hate? And it's like, yeah, I guess. That's another weird thing to me. Like, he's physically in pain, feeling love?
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, you don't get that because you've mostly dated Erin and she's cool. But you see,
Oh, okay.
I totally understand it.
Okay. Anyway, I don't even get how this happened. So Enchantress starts. Not only does she brainwash Red Onslaught into falling in love with her, but like is like, we're gonna take over everything together now. Like right away, she's super villaining the shit out of this to take over all of everything with the power of Red Onslaught. And Red Onslaught's like, I love you, also Sentinel. And that just distracts her enough for Red Onslaught to be like, you cow?
You cow!
Fuck you. But I think he calls her a sow.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but, you know, I think the same thing, basically.
Is it?
Basically. It's another mammal. Female. Or I think it's a pig, right? Like a female pig is a sow.
I'm not up to date on my sows.
I guess that's worse than a cow.
If you know much about sows, you should email us and let
Yeah,
us know.
email us
I think a
Mex-Men
boar is a
podcast
male. So.
at gmail.com.
Uh,
Are you a farmer and you listen to us?
Are you a scientist?
God damn it, Justin.
Oh my god. Anyway, Red Onslaught's like, I got the power.
Was that a He-Man joke or a music joke?
I don't know. I just thought he looks like Skeletor, you know?
I've been thinking for the last 5 minutes that whenever you've done a villain voice, you've sounded like Skeletor too. Like, I will not fall in love with you, Enchantress. Yeah.
Anyway, Quentin's barely holding on during this time, like keeping Red Onslaught's telepathy from just taking over everyone's mind. And Evan is like, you can do it, man. Just a little longer so I can heal and jump in the fight to help. And he's like, yeah, okay, I could do it. And then Red Onslaught's like, nope, you can't do it. And then he starts taking over the villains' minds, like, all right, now I control you and you're going to do my bidding. While this is happening, though, they destroyed the Sentinels and freed Doctor Strange and Wanda. And Magneto's like, hey, can you guys do the thing you were going to do before? Don't explain it because that doesn't make sense. Just do the thing. And they're like, yeah, definitely. But we're going to be vulnerable again. So you got to protect us. And he's like, sure thing. And then he doesn't. Because the villains attack Strange and Wanda. Yeah, Strange and Wanda. And
this is also right at the point that we mentioned earlier, too, where Deadpool charges up Tony's armor. So right now is when he gets back into the fight.
yeah, a lot of this is just back and forth stuff, but it's all basically happening at the same time. Evan shows up, and he's like, hey, here's my Cyclops impression. And he shoots Carnage away from, I think, stabbing Doctor Strange. And then someone's on their way to hit him. I forget who it is already. Sabretooth. And Deadpool shows up, and he's like, I'm an Avenger.
What are you trying to remember what song he was singing?
No. I was nodding to you to sing the song, but never mind.
Yeah, he's
So
doing
much for
the. You just blankly stared at me. There was no cue.
I
there.
I nodded.
No, you look like you forgot what song.
No, it's the I'm a Believer.
Yeah.
But it's I'm an Avenger, and then Tony Stark's like, well, now I got that song stuck in my head.
Well, even he does the I'm an Avenger, I can avenge her if I tried.
Avenge less if I tried.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't avenge her either. Because this is around the point where his daughter's mom died.
Wasn't that a vampire?
No.
Or he's married to a vampire.
He's married to a vampire.
Child out of wedlock.
That's the worst thing you think that Deadpool's done.
A little bit. He's probably not paying child support.
No, he's not. He didn't. He just found out he had a child, and right now he thinks she's
He thinks the mom
until
died.
Original Sin, he thought she was dead because he found the pile of corpses, which we'll cover in the good and the bad.
All right. Anyway,
Not just the pile of corpses. The whole story we'll cover. That would be a weird episode.
Deadpool saves Evan, but then Red Onslaught's all like, "Hey, Strange, give yourself the hand," and he's like, "On it."
Finger bang.
Like, I don't know what happens with him. I thought he just
like-
disappeared, but he actually just collapses unconscious. And then Doom's all like, "I'll take the order part of the spell, Wanda," and she's like, "I don't like you," and he's like, "I don't give a shit."
Doom does not mourn the insects he steps on.
Yeah, his words.
Yeah. And Strange gets attacked by it's either Hobgoblin or
I thought it was Carnage.
No, Carnage goes to attack him, and then somebody else who just is vaguely red and dead looking attacks him.
Oh, weird. Anyway, so Doom and Wanda perform the spell, and then everything sort of explodes, like the whole island of Genosha again.
And they all learned what their original sin was because it's the eyeball that exploded. It looks exactly the same.
Yep. And then Doom's gone, and they're like, "Where's Doom?" And all the heroes are exiting the Sentinel bodies, and they're like, "Doom was here? What? What happened now?" And so, presumably, there's some chicanery going on.
Captain America shows up.
He does. Well, first, they have a body. The Red Skull's body, which this doesn't make sense to me because I thought it was two dead guys who fused to create an ultimately evil consciousness of power, and they destroyed that evil consciousness of power, and now it's a body again?
No,
It's alive?
From what I remember, Red Skull stole Xavier's brain.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but that was a dead guy.
Yeah, but
He put the brain
it's
in
his
his
body.
own head.
Yeah, but then Red Skull gets killed by Magneto. That's what lets loose Onslaught.
I mean, he just has a part of Xavier's brain.
No, the whole becoming Onslaught thing makes zero sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like to revert back to just a living body after being killed to become Onslaught. That all I'm saying is it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, comics.
But so they're like, "Hey, it's Xavier, right? You inverted him." That was like the whole deal. Like he's a
That
good guy
sounds
now?
like they like pulled his tongue and his skin like like his skin was on the inside.
Or he can walk now but can't use his arms.
I'm picturing him running, and he's got his arms flailing back and forth while he's running.
Anyway, the X-Men obviously are like, we gotta wake him up. And the Avengers are like, don't do that. It's the Red Skull. And they're like, no, it's gotta be Xavier, right? Because you did the thing. And
What's the whole point of this?
And they're like, we don't trust that. It's the Red Skull.
Or you.
And so it's become a thing of like, the Avengers want to take the Red Skull to the Avengers Tower. And the X-Men are like, no, let's take him back to the mansion. We got psychics who can keep him in check. And that would be safe. And the Avengers are like, no, our tower, it's in the sky. It's like it's high up. So like, it's safer.
That's where they keep the Dragon Balls.
But what doesn't make sense is like the Avengers never offer a safeguard to like control, like if it is the Red Skull. But like the X-Men are like, hey, we got psychics. They're all going to keep them in check.
But Avengers Tower does have power dampeners.
And the X-Men have power. And they probably have power dampeners too. Fucking
Unlimited
beast.
power.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Avengers should get it more, but they're easily equipped to handle the Red Skull until, like, you know...
Yeah, they're real equipped before.
Well, nobody's ever really equipped for anything, but they're as equipped as the X-Men are.
Yeah. And Cyclops is like, hey, look, Captain America. Cooler Captain America. We all know why.
Dude, I feel like you wanted to call him Black than America.
Cooler Captain America. Buddy, listen. I need this. I kind of did a thing I really wish I didn't do a little while ago, and this is kind of a way we can undo this. Sure, he's got to live the rest of his life with this Red Skull, but, like, that dude to be alive, and we kind of need this win.
I think they're also, like, not thinking about how, like, if the X-Men get Red Skull as their prisoner, that just leads to another argument. It's like, all right, where are we taking him? Like, is he going back to your mansion or my prison?
The prison makes sense.
The prison makes sense, but Scott's the only one of him there.
It's a happy compromise.
He's in prison. And
he's in prison, and the X-Men have him.
Yeah, but I think we all know the X-Men would not let Scott take Xavier's body.
Maybe now,
he just murders him again.
This is well after the last Will and Testament, though, and which we still technically haven't wrapped up yet because that is continued
includes
on.
The rest of Uncanny.
Yeah. So this is all like right after that. So Havoc's all like, hey, I don't got to do what you say, Captain America, because...
You're not my dad.
I was thinking he's playing Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a co-leader of the Avengers. I don't got to listen to you. I was anointed by Steve Rogers, patron saint of authority, and then he shows up. And he's like, well, then we'll just ask Steve Rogers, patron saint of authority. Because sick burn, Captain America. Anyway, he shows up, and Cap's like, hey, Steve, we got a situation. And Steve's like, had a situation. Great job, guys. Really knocked it out of the park. And
I'll be taking the body.
And all the credit.
Don't think about what I'm going to do with it. Just don't think about it.
It's just something really dumb, probably.
I feel like he's gonna dance with it.
Red Skull. Yeah,
like he just hangs out with the unconscious Xavier.
Like they have tea.
He does like the voice with him. He's like, "How are you, Red Skull?" "Oh, I've been feeling fine."
It turns out he's got dementia.
This got really weird.
Yeah.
I was thinking of him having like a tea party with Red Skull all dressed up. He's like serving him tea.
Yeah, he's like Buzz Lightyear in the first Toy Story.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a big disagreement between the X-Men and the Avengers, in that even Steve Rogers is like, hey, Havoc, good job and all. We're going to take him back to Avengers Tower.
I got an idea for a play, and I need to buy it.
And Havoc's like, you know what? Fine, take him. Under what condition? I quit. Which is weird.
Yeah, it's not in a condition.
You're just saying you quit. And they were like, oh, no, don't do that.
It's like your boss calls you and you're like, hey, can you pick up an extra shift today? And you're like, yeah, if it's my last.
He's like, all right.
Even worse, like, yeah, under one condition, I quit.
You come in, that'd be an awkward rest of the day. You come in, like, you wash dishes for 10 hours and like, fuck you guys.
I don't even work here.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, he decides that. Sorry, by he I mean Havoc. He decides he's not going to be an Avenger no more, and
Drops a sick diss track.
See, I'm just coming into my mind that because they're the Unity Squad, they all have those Rick James Unity rings.
Just
Unity!
Just the way you said that, Avenger no more. It sounded like that was a sick diss track.
And
That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
That was Iron Man's response to Havoc.
anyway,
First off, I fucked your bitch.
so Havoc's like, I'm going home to my real family because Janet was like, hey man, I thought we were like a thing. You know, we thought we were going to die. We kissed. The Sentinels tractor beamed us. We turned out to win. We're boning? And he's like, not anymore.
He's like, yeah, we can have sex again if it's the last time.
Under one condition.
I quit. He's like, yeah, you usually do. Like, just 2 minutes in. And like that's the end of it. They go their separate ways.
Whoa.
Avengers and X-Men friends no more.
Not gonna talk about how jacked Evan gets?
Yeah. Daddy Evan over here.
Wait, that's right. That does happen. Because while they're arguing, Apocalypse just shows up. It's Evan.
Is it?
Turned Apocalypse.
I think it's Apocalypse wearing Evan's shorts.
Or it's Evan wearing an Apocalypse costume.
And he's
There's
like,
two of them on top of each other.
he was like, it's not even Xavier. That's just the remnants of what used to be Xavier. Let him have the body. And they're like, fine. But I'm not an Avenger no more.
Evan's like, that was easy. I just talked out of my ass. They listen
Yeah.
to me. I don't know why. Nobody likes me in the first place.
Like, Deadpool gives him a hug, and he's like, is it weird I'm doing this? And he's
Yeah.
like, this is the last time. This is the last
Because I quit.
Yeah. I'm quitting hugs. I learned it from Laura.
He's like, where do you even lift, bro?
Yeah.
Got so big. Got so swole on me. Is this puberty for you?
I think that was hilarious. How all of a sudden he's, because of the inversion, he's huge, and just Apocalypse, and Deadpool just thinks it's puberty.
Yeah. Now for I do feel like we can get through Carnage pretty quick. Not a lot happens in it.
No, not really.
Yeah, but we're at like an hour 30.
I mean, I could just run through it real fast.
All right, yeah, we'll hit it real quick, and then
I literally have only 4 points.
yeah, we'll we'll hit it as fast as Havoc.
So, Carnage starts with some guy runs up in a nightclub, shoots a guy. It's like, whoa, that was crazy. And the guy was like, I know you. And the guy's like, no, you don't. Shot. And then
Rat-a-tat-tat.
bars. Then Carnage is swinging around, and he's all like, I want to be a superhero now. He basically recaps you on what happened with Axis.
Well, and let's not call Sin Eater some guy.
Some guy.
He's a reason Venom's a thing.
Okay.
Some
Ghost Rider
knockoff.
knockoff. Yes.
Hey, man. See, Ghost Rider makes you see all your sins. This guy just eats them.
Whatever.
That flame head is just coincidental.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's green.
it's green.
Big difference.
So Carnage is swinging around, and he's like, I used to be a psychopath who had no feelings, but now I have feelings and I don't know how to use them, and I'm trying to be a hero, but I don't even know how to hero. And then he hears a woman yell, and he's like, I could save her. And he goes down there to save her, and the guy she's struggling with, he punches in the face and knocks his eyeball out, and is like, yep, you were waiting on that. And then another guy with a knife comes up, and then he cuts that guy's arm off, and he's like, well, that's fair, right?
He's like, I might have gone too far.
Because I can make knives, you got knives, even Stevens, you know?
It's a lot of Shia LaBeouf references.
And then the woman freaks out. She's like, hey, that was my pimp daddy, which bugs the shit out of me because it seems oddly formal.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was written by a white guy.
Yeah, it seems really weird.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're a whore? That's illegal. And just punches her.
And then he's like, I did a better job. Her eyeball didn't come out. That was something I didn't like, though, is like when he had one hand on her head, he thought, wait, so you're a villain. That means I got to stop you. But, like, softly, and then just punches her with the other fist.
I also want to point out,
slightly.
He didn't necessarily hit her less hard than he hit the other guy. He just held his hand in front of her eyeballs so they didn't pop out when he punched her.
He said he's got to be gentle, which he dissed her. He's like, all right, you're a girl, so you're ever so soft, so I'm going to be gentle. But I like how he, like, wound it up. He held her head and, like, brought his fist back just a little bit.
And he, like, hits her like how Hulk Hogan used to punch people when he'd Hulk up.
And then a little bit after that, a guy goes into a massage parlor and is all like, hey, I'm ready to get jerked off.
Yeah.
He all but says it. He's laying down for his massage, and then for some reason,
it's a cock massage.
The color of this, it's funny you say that. It looks like Sin Eater enters the room naked. It looks like Sin Eater also has his shirt off.
It does.
And it's like, why?
He was there to get jerked off, and then was like, oh, that's a bad thing. I should kill that guy for it.
And the guy's like, wait a minute, I know you. And he's like, no, you don't. I'm going to shoot you now.
That's my purse.
And the guy's like, no, you're a Sin Eater. And is like, yup, I'm going to eat your sins. He shoots the guy. And then Carnage, swinging around, sees
the news,
as one does in the Marvel Universe, just playing in Windows. And he sees this really sad woman. He's like, I have feelings right now. I don't know how to process them. This woman is having feelings and is processing them. So that's a professional who knows how to do the thing they're doing. Maybe she can help me.
Yeah, as she's just crying.
She's
handling this real
well. Meanwhile, in studio, you see that the report is about how 2 anchor people, one of which she worked with, were just killed by some crazy person. And then...
which they must have known. I found it weird that they knew that was like a jerk-off parlor.
Yeah,
because he was just at the massage parlor, and it's like, I'm embarrassed. Everyone knew he was about to get jerked off.
Yeah.
It's like, how? He didn't even start getting jerked off yet. How'd everyone know?
Well, so she gets done, and a producer goes to console her, and she's like, cut the shit. I don't give a fuck. I want his job. I want the stories he was having. And the producer's like, hey, but, like, maybe you got to process things. And she's like, I just increased your ratings, guy. So
it's like, the body's not even cold, you heartless bitch.
Yeah. And the producer's like, well, you got a police detail now because they're afraid that it might be a pattern, that they're going after anchor people. And she's like, I don't need it. I just want the job. I want to cover superhero stuff, which is the Marvel Universe. Isn't everyone covering superhero stuff all the time?
Just in New York. I think if you're, like, in Minneapolis, you do, like, the Farmer Report.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. There's a disproportionately large amount of heroes in New York.
Yeah, there's, like, 2 in New Jersey.
Anyway, so she gets the police detail. She goes home. The police officer's with her. She's all like, I'm going to take a shower. Do you want a drink? And he's like, I'm working. And she's like, I don't give a shit. You want a drink? And he's like, all right, I'll probably do that. And then he goes to sit on the couch, and he sees the dumbest thing.
Classic. Right here.
He sees Sin Eater. He's got his feet poking out from behind the curtain. And he pulls a gun out and is like, hey, and starts shooting. And then Sin Eater apparently is bulletproof. Well, except for his face, which we'll find out later. And Sin Eater just shoots the cop in his bulletproof vest, which apparently isn't bulletproof. And is like...
Well, because he shoots him with incendiary rounds.
I guess that makes sense. So he kills that guy.
And,
Well,
it's a shotgun.
He shot him in
at
the head.
point.
He does shoot him in the head right after.
He shot him through the curtain, and he lived, and then shot him in the head afterwards.
Yeah, and then he like eats all that sin because it's his jam.
Nom nom.
Yeah. And he also, as he shoots him with the incendiary round, says that he's baptizing him in fire.
Sick. Anyway,
Do you mean sick like gross or like sick?
like sick. Anyway, the woman comes out who is never even given a name. They gave one of the guys who got killed a name.
She gets a name later.
Okay. Well, she doesn't have a name yet. And then as she's about to get killed, because Sin Eater's all like, I'm going to eat that sin.
Like groceries.
That's comics for butt. Carnage breaks through the window, and he's all like, I am so much cooler than you. Like, symbiote webs the gun to Sin Eater's head, makes him shoot himself, and then basically kidnaps the anchor woman. And then she screams, she passes out, and then she wakes back up, like, Carnage jizzed to the wall. And he's like, hey, I need you to help me feel. And that's the end. That's Carnage.
I got something
one.
for you to feel.
And Sin Eater did wake back up after he got his head blown off.
Yeah, there's that too. But he's pretty
But,
stupid.
who cares?
I feel attacked.
He's so dumb.
He is dumb, but he leads to venom.
I know you. You're Sin Eater. Weren't you a cop? Shut up. It's basically what happens to the guy in the massage parlor. And he thought he was going to get jerked off.
Yeah.
Sad ending.
That's like the worst way to die.
It's like-
to think you're going to... He literally says, I can finally get a happy ending.
Well,
I had
he
a
was on
tough
top of he was on top of the world, and somebody had to push him off.
He was hoping to get pulled off.
I was looking for one. I couldn't think of...
And they yanked him off. But yeah, that was part 1 of Axis, issues 1 through 3, and part 1 of Carnage Axis. And we have social media where you can go and see stuff that we post. And like it or comment. All of it is at Mex-Men Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our YouTube. Go search us on YouTube. That's a thing, too.
And TeePublic, buy stuff so we can get money. That'd be great.
Tons of stuff on TeePublic.
In these trying times, we need your money.
We got masks on there?
Buy
No,
stuff
we don't have masks on there. We
Wait,
don't
we-
get to pick anything that's
on there.
sold.
we gotta.
That's fudge.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be coming out with some cooler shirt designs too.
Well, you can buy a
Some new
sticker.
cool-
and put it-
Ouch. Ouch. Also, yes.
You're gonna be designing the other shirt.
I know, but that you said cooler. It's like, ouch.
You can buy a sticker and put it on your mask. That way it's even harder to breathe.
Yeah, but there's sticker filters.
Exactly. That'll really keep it all out.
Yeah, all the poison.
All the oxygen.
Yeah, you can't catch corona if you don't breathe. So yeah, that's for today.